Hello there, and welcome to another episode of LorcanaTalks. I'm one of your hosts, Pirate Steven. With me, as always, is posted Pat over there, Patrick. And we have a special guest today, our good friend Mitch from Duck Talks, and about this game that he didn't know he was going to be obsessed about, but now that it's released, he's obsessed, just like us. So, as a reminder, this LorcanaTalks webcast. Our show is not about how to play the game or anything like that. It's about our experience with the game. We're going to talk about our types of collecting it and our stories about trying to find and buy the product and some tournament talk too, right? So we're going to have a good time, and hopefully you enjoy this journey with us as we obsess about this game with the rest of you out there. So welcome again to another episode. How are y'all doing out there?
Yeah. Excited to be here, Steve.
Yeah.
No, it's been a while. So the way we're gonna do this episode here is a lot's gone on in the past month. So we're gonna me and Patrick were able to go to GenCon, so we'll talk about that experience real quick. And we'll go into what it was like for us when the game was finally released to local game shops, heading into the worldwide release, and our initial thoughts on everything as we held the product in our hand. So what kicked it off by GenCon was last month. We were lucky to attend the first week of August. A couple of days out there in good old Indianapolis. I had never been there before. Mitch, have you been to Indianapolis?
Isn't Indianapolis right over the river from Kentucky, from like Louisville? I think I've seen Indianapolis, but I've not been in it.
So
across the river.
Yeah, we I'd never been either, but Patrick and I knew that as soon as we saw the game at D23, as we shared our pictures and everything with you, we knew we had to be there when it was released to get our hands on it, because we didn't know how hard it would be to get in the future. So as soon as GenCon tickets went on sale, we went and got them and started planning our trip. But it was actually a lot of fun, and not all just about Disney Lorcana. So we'll talk about our experience, and hopefully people are going to want to go to GenCon when you hear how much fun we had.
I already want to go.
Right.
It's interesting. It's interesting to me because when we were prepping to go to GenCon, we were like, well, we've never been to Indianapolis. We bought the 4-day pass. We're like, okay, let's just get it. Made sense. We're like, there's no way we're gonna spend 4 days at this thing. Like we were doing research, like what else is there in the area? I don't know. So we were kind of like banking on a lot of free time, and I have never been more exhausted in my life after 4 days of just pure board games and card games. It was insane, but it was a very pleasant surprise in that regard.
Yeah, so it actually kicked off on Thursday. We got there on Wednesday, of course. The hotel was awesome. It was right across the street from where the Indianapolis Colts play, which is also a part of GenCon, where people actually got to go in the stadium and play games, which was really cool. But yeah, Thursday was kickoff day, and we had our plan. Our strategy was, hey, let's get Lorcana done on the first day, get our product, and then the rest of the time we get to relax. So we're like, oh, we're gonna get there at 5 o'clock in the morning and get in line, and we'll be one of the first people there and get our product, and then, like I said, enjoy the rest of the convention. And we did get outside at 5, and we were not the first people there. We saw a lot of people.
We were so young and naive back then.
Yeah, right. So we saw a lot of the people from the community, Lorcana community, that we've seen in Twitter and on podcasts as well there. And everything was good. And then we hung out outside until about 6 a.m. when they let everybody in. and everybody there were some people that ran to the door where the doors would be, but most people just walked very very orderly, like to the stanchions where they had somebody from GenCon said, "This is the line for Lorcana. You're going to wait right here," which we saw from the map was just on the other side of the wall. So we waited. Me and Patrick felt pretty confident because probably like 100 in line. There couldn't have been more than 100 people ahead of us. And this is at 6 o'clock. So the doors open at 10, which we got to, 4 hours, that's not a lot to wait to get what you came there to do, and get our product, which everything is product.
So I have to know. So was this like 6 hours in line?
Well, we got, like I said, we got there at 5, and then
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 is when it was opening.
What do you do for 6 hours in line?
You've never been to Disney World?
A great question. So we personally, I had a late flight. So I think I was in the hotel room for about 45 minutes before we decided to hop on over or something. I slept just sitting up sleeping, which is a skill I've gotten as I've grown as a parent, but I can sleep anywhere on demand. But the vibe of that line at that point in time, super chill, super excited, super optimistic. You had people pulling out different games. I saw there's a, we can talk about it later, there's a Funkoverse, or not Funkoverse, but Funko Games has a Star Wars game, Star Wars Rivals. I saw a group pulling that out and playing it just on the floor. To more than one occasion, there were people who had printed out their own versions of the Lorcana cards. They had full-blown decks.
Wow.
And they were playing the game as they're waiting in line to get the game, which was, just peak level of excitement. But no, I just slept.
And the line was very orderly and looked very well put together and snaked all the way through a corridor and all the way down back towards the opening of where we were originally let in the doors. And then like more people would come, and there obviously were people there that weren't or didn't know they were interested in Lorcana. So they just went to the main convention doors and crowded around there. And then, it was looking pretty good. And we keep looking at our watches, and then 9:30 comes around. And right around that time was Lorcana or Ravensburger would post about, hey, there's a 6th rarity, which we haven't talked about yet. And it's called the Enchanted Rare. And we're not going to even show you any pictures. You're just going to, whoever gets it first. And it was a very Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory golden ticket type thing, where people just, and you could tell people were just going, getting paranoid all around us because they didn't know when the doors were going to open and everything. And there was that sense in the air of that paranoia.
That sounds horrible.
It gets better.
So wait, Steve, did they announce the Enchanted? Did they make the Enchanted news before, spoiler alert, the line breakdown happened?
Well, yeah. So right around that time as well. And see, the reason why I can't remember if it happened before or after was because I didn't know if I could get my hands up to to look at my my phone to see that information, because somebody from GenCon walked over there and said, there's no official line for this, and just like ripped the stanchion ropes from where we were. And then people it was like Mardi Gras. Like everybody just went to the one area and you couldn't move. You had your arm, like he was looking up, Patrick was looking up how to survive a stampede on Google, because we were like, this is so uncomfortable.
It
And then
looked
they had
crazy. I've seen a video of it.
They had vendors that needed to get to the show floor, and we're right by the restrooms as well. So every time someone had to go to a bathroom, like I was like, dude, find another one, because there's no way to get past where everybody's just standing. But yeah, so we're standing, and the doors are still there, and we're very confident, whatever. So then at 10 o'clock, they open up the doors. Instead of opening up all the doors, they just opened up like one, probably the furthest away from where we're at. And then they would open up two or three more, but still not the closest one to us. And then we just cattle went into the door. Yeah. And then finally we got in the doors, and we're like, okay, we're still confident we're getting this thing. We're here. We got here early, prepared. And then we're like, someone said, oh, the line is actually going to form outside. So now you got to go back outside and then get in this other line. And at that point, we're like, all right, we're done. We're going to go have fun anyway. Did I miss anything?
Day one was we at that point. Day one was a Lorcana wash at that point. We had declared it's like, let's just recoup our losses and go somewhere else. And yeah, it was a show. We decided, I mean, that's the beautiful part about that show floor, is that it was pretty quick to rebound, because we kind of just wandered aimlessly away from the Ravensburger booth and was like, well, that's it's not happening. And in about 10 feet, we encounter about 4 or 5 other games that, piqued our interest, right? And we kind of just embraced that for the majority of the day. I think we went to the Funko Games booth was right there, and I'd seen those people picking up the Star Wars Rivals game. I picked it up for myself to play at home, and yeah, we just started demoing stuff. Right, there was the Star Wars Unlimited card game that was 10 feet to the right of Lorcana or something, a couple aisles down. But another card game coming out soon. Mechanically, very similar in a lot of regards to Lorcana. I'll be interested to see how that one goes. But got some demos in, got some free promo cards, which is always fun. Yeah. So it was a big L to start our GenCon experience, but we rebounded quickly.
Yeah, and we did have a how to play Disney Lorcana session at 10 o'clock. So it wasn't like we knew at some point that they were playing the thing, and we're going to start a deck and a promo card. So we eventually got to go to their little their room, and Patrick and I got to play two rounds of Lorcana with the various starter decks that they had there, and we loved it. It was a good time.
So when you all walked away from the outdoor line, did you do that not know you didn't? Did you know whether or not you'd have an opportunity to buy product, or were you walking away thinking we may miss our opportunity to get anything?
Well, we knew we were there for 3 additional days, and we just thought it was done. We were done that day.
Okay,
except for our starter deck.
You thought beyond that opportunity, there would be more opportunities to buy. We're not going to do it today.
Yeah,
okay.
we're done.
mean, I'm hearing the story and I'm thinking, what if they totally sold out the first day? I mean, based on my experiences with the game, that seems likely.
Well, they said they would have an allotment for each day, so we knew.
Okay,
we were just hoping, like, oh, great, now we're gonna have to come earlier the next day,
again.
whatever. We were
right.
and that was our one goal, to avoid having to wake up early and be there. So
yeah, they quickly generated a better plan for the next day. Within a couple hours of the snafu, where they said, okay, we're going to have an official line. It's going to start in this room. and the line starts at 6, and we're like, okay, that seems fair, whatever. And then we checked, and it's 6 p.m. is when the line starts in this room. And I'll wait in line with the best of them, but that was a little much. We paid for a hotel room, It's like I kind of want to use that. I was valuing sleep and showering and all that stuff, and so it's like that's crazy. So we weren't sure how to tackle day 2, but they put some contingencies in place, even though it felt pretty extreme. And you know what? People were lining up right at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
it was nuts. We're
I've
getting ahead of ourselves there. We have a lot of other things.
I've heard that GenCon has a policy of no lines, and that the line that was started without their approval. And I've also heard that apparently that entrance, that mob that you all were in trying to get in, that's a shot they try to take every year. And it might have been because they wanted that shot that everything kind of broke down. So, but they did change the policy for this game on that second day, and that's pretty cool that they worked with Ravensburger to get that done.
Well, they had no idea the demand, that's something that that has been a theme with the LGS release and the worldwide releases. They didn't know the demand was going to be this big for the Disney Pokemon game, which doesn't make sense. But there's a good news. There's a happy ending to the day 1 story. Was we happened to walk by the booth at like 1:30, and there was no line by that time, and we just walked up, and we were able to buy our each one of us bought a booster box of packs, which was the only thing they really had in stock at that time. So they had all the accessories and no gift set or troves, but all they had left at that point was the booster boxes, which we were surprised that they had brought them, and because we heard the supply was so low, we're happy to get that as our souvenir. So that was the happy ending of day 1.
The promo card, is that the Goofy GenCon card that's out there? Okay.
No, Mickey Mouseketeer is the GenCon one.
Okay.
This previous or last week, there was a Gamescom in Germany, Goofy Mouseketeer.
Okay.
So Donald has to be somewhere, and hopefully we're able to get the Donald one. Right?
Isn't it Miami that's coming up?
Miami has a pretty big Lorcana presence from their trading card game con they're going to have. But there's also a Toy Fair is in New York this year, so they could have something there for that. Also, New York Comic Con is in October, so who knows? One of those maybe. I would love to see some kind of like Disney Parks promo, but who knows? It'd probably just as crazy.
One thing that's nice about these promos that they're doing at these events, from a collector standpoint, it's great to have. They are quite valuable in the collector community for what it's worth. But, I don't think that, most people should have any form of FOMO in terms of collecting these promotional cards. The cards, the artwork, the text, all of that whole card that exists in this base set, this first chapter. You can pull this from a booster, right? The only difference is that icon at the bottom center of the promo card that kind of denotes that this was a special giveaway. For those who are the completionist collectors, it's a great thing to have, but I think they are very wise in kind of in making sure that these giveaways are special, but not creating too much of a demand or a scarcity in terms of the rarity of the art and all that. So anyway, tip of the hat, Ravensburger.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and many of the cards that I enjoy playing are commons and uncommons. I like that. It's the way the game is built. It's not just, the rarity isn't the best card always. But yeah, I've enjoyed that. I think that's been a great way for them to do it. My first trading card game, so I don't know how others have done it. I know when we've talked about it in the past, I've asked Patrick a lot of questions about how do these games work and everything. But yeah, I like that it is set up that way to where the scarcity of the card is not necessarily a huge impact on the game. There are some, but you can also get by on just a regular starter pack.
we just wanted to have Disney Lorcana product, and we got our booster box, so we couldn't have been more happy with that. So I don't think we even opened it immediately because we had a lot of great time scheduled in the Funko games area. Like we got to demo their new game Disney Animated, which if you haven't seen it, it is definitely a item to put on your Christmas list. I think it's going to win Toy of the Year for board games this year. Which is something that Disney Villainous won a couple of years ago. But we had fun playing that and the Indiana Jones Sands of Time game as well. And the Funko booths, I mean, you can't spell Funko without fun. And they definitely had a great time of entertaining people, and all their events were free. So kudos to Funko for that experience, especially after that day of that early day of what we had to go through.
The Funko area. So there's two kind of presents where Funko had at GenCon, and there was on the show floor where they were selling things, and you can demo a few things, but they had the separate room off to one of the halls, and you can tell they're pros at this because they took what was a convention room and they completely transformed it to this like super cozy, like they had the nice tables, like wooden table. They look something out of like a Pottery Barn catalog. These benches and chairs and lighting, natural lighting, and it just made it like a really nice environment to play a board game in, which was just super fun to try out these games. Yeah, Disney Animated is it's cooperative for what it's worth. So everyone's kind of working together. I personally love cooperative board games. And I feel like it's like quintessentially like one of the best things they could have put out in this, Disney 100 anniversary year that they're doing. It just feels like it really lends itself well to celebrating the whole history of Disney animation. It was a great game.
Yeah, and we'll post a review on that one when we get a chance to, because more people didn't know about that game. So then eventually we went back to the hotel and started cracking open our packs, which was a great. I mean, opening 24 packs is a fun time. You don't even realize how much you paid for them when you're just there ripping them open. But we had a pretty good strategy since he had a box and I had a box. Whenever we were done, we just traded our dupes no matter what they were to each other, and just saw. I don't know how many we needed. I think after that, the 24 packs, I think I needed like 29 cards or something similar around there. So it then became a point of, okay, we're probably not getting any more Disney Lorcana product because we're not going to wait in that line. It's going to be even crazier the next few days. But the next day, again, our strategy of just walking up at 1:30 worked again, and went ahead and bought another booster box. So we had our second box, and went and cracked it open as well. And I think at the end of that, I think we both needed around like 5 or 6 cards. So our new goal was, hey, let's try to, because there's my kid watches a lot of Pokemon YouTubers and stuff like that. And they would have like binder challenges where in a weekend, let me see if I can collect an entire set. So that became our goal of getting all 204 cards in our binder opening weekend of this product release. So we just try to trade as much as we can, up trade, because sometimes we didn't have a legendary to trade for another legendary, etc. But the cool thing was that everybody, all the people that were there were really into this game and the community, and helped out trading with us. So by the end of our trip, we both were able to complete a set of 204, which is really cool.
I think, it was an interesting time, because after a day or two of the convention, enough people had gotten their hands on Lorcana cards where you started, just everywhere you went. First of all, generally GenCon just took over all of Indianapolis, and everywhere you went, restaurants, the mall, the hotel lobbies, people are playing stuff. And within a day or two of people getting Lorcana stuff, you would, anywhere you go into, you would bump into people flipping through binders or playing a game of Lorcana, and it was pretty wild to see. And as we were trying to find these kind of last few holes in our collections, you had to kind of go up and introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this." And at that point in time, everyone in that crowd is always looking. Everyone's looking for something different. There's people like us who are trying to complete our collections. There were people who, in their minds, they already had a deck that they were trying to build. I feel like in general, that was kind of more often than not what we were seeing, is that people at Gen Con were really focused on getting that deck, whatever it was that they had planned, putting that together. And yeah, everyone we traded with really worked with you, tried to make a deal happen. I never felt really at any point in time that anyone was really trying to take you for a ride in the trading. And everyone was kind of just generally, it was just a really cool vibe. We talk about TCGs and it's a trading card game. And I don't know, it was in those couple days, we were really putting the trading and trading card games. So it was fun.
Yeah, I know my the card I was worried about the most, where I couldn't get, was the Gantu Legendary, which is kind of a joke now, because that's the card that there's so many of, and you could buy for $2. And I think I had to trade like 4 super rares for it at a time, which I thought was an awesome deal. But no regrets, because I just wanted my set so I could feel complete inside and happy, and I got that from that trade. So yeah, great experience. The only thing that could top our Lorcana experience was Patrick and I were actually in the top 24 teams for the Funkoverse World Championships of the World 2023. We got to play in that, and that is an experience I'll never forget.
There was a sign up when you go to Gen Con, you do your you sign up for the events you want to do, and we didn't know what we were expecting. We want to get the Lorcana stuff, and we got to do one of those things, but then we were kind of filling up the rest of the time with other gameplay demos and things. And there was a Funkoverse thing. I was like, hey, let's do it. I put it in there. I didn't really read the part where it was the World Championships. I'd played it once or twice before, and yeah, we ended up nabbing it on our schedule. And so yeah, we are now highly ranked official real deal competitors in that game.
It took Funkoverse to a new level for me, because I have a couple of sets, like the Nightmare Before Christmas set. I got the Darkwing Duck expansion, of course. But it's different when you're just playing 1v1 against somebody. Having like 4 people playing at the same time, it just made the experience a lot cooler. And my thoughts on the game greatly appreciated from playing in the World Championships. I think we went 1-3, something like that. But so at least I don't think we're number 24 in the world. I think we're top 20.
Yeah, we're somewhere in that mix. It got a little blurry with the open bar in the back corner. It was an one of the strengths of a game like Funkoverse is it's this mashup of all these properties, and the way that they structured the tournament was you basically got this sealed blind box, and you didn't know who was in it. And all the teams opened them up, and we all got, every team got 3 characters. You got to choose 2 at the start of every game, and they were all mismatched. We ended up drawing our characters were Batgirl and Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park was our second one, and then one of the characters from Squid Game was our third. That was our trio that we were working with, and it was, characters with the exception of Jeff Goldblum, who I'd always choose, but characters I wouldn't necessarily have chosen for myself, but were a heck of a lot of fun to play with. It was neat.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be in the World Championships next year, but who knows? Who knows how it goes? But that in a nutshell was our GenCon experience. I feel like it was a big success, and I'm happy we went to complete our sets. But then we had to go through the emotions of, okay, now we have our binder full of our sets. What we're gonna do now? Now we got to wait it out till the local game shop release. Which it wasn't a great experience with that second release after being at GenCon and having our way to get everything we needed to get there. So I'll just go ahead and start with my experience. Was I went to 4 different shops in my areas just to get a feel around for it. And it's comic book shops, it's it's trading card shops, and sports card shops and stuff like that. And it didn't, obviously I didn't want to buy the product there because all the local game shops were charging astronomical prices for what I had just bought at retail. So I wasn't going to pay $35 for a starter deck, not paying $12 for a pack of cards, etc. So I didn't buy anything that week, and I saw other people online buying, and I was kind of getting that FOMO experience of needing to buy something because I wanted something, even though I had a set of it already.
Yeah. Where I'm located, there is not a real close game store. So I was kind of just calling around, and the game stores here were taking a very interesting approach. We had 3 circumstances I saw where one was like, hey, we tried to get Lorcana and we couldn't get any product. One, they could only fulfill pre-orders, and those pre-orders were sold out for ages. And then there was one game store who was like, I don't know how this thing's going to do, and we just want to kind of watch the chaos, and then maybe we'll order some down the road. So, I also kind of got left in the dust. And to your point, Steve, it's tough because I think the Ravensburg, the strategy that they did, kind of giving the local game stores a head start, I think it's a pretty noble approach. I like it. You want to support the smaller businesses before this stuff starts dropping into your bigger stores, and that also kind of helps grow these kind of play sessions and communities within for the game itself. But then there's kind of the other side of it where you start seeing those markups, and it's kind of just an unfortunate side effect. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, because the game is only going to grow and be popular if people are actually playing the game itself. I know from my approach to it, I'm probably like 65 or 70% interest in collecting, and the rest of the 35% interest in playing the game. It's the people playing the game which is going to let it last 10 years and keep growing, because you can buy trading cards, you can buy other stuff all over the place. It's this game being that good, and it needed to grow, and that's why the local game shops were supposed to do with getting the product, and I hope some of them did sell it for a regular price. I know, Mitch, you had an experience with your shop.
Yeah, my experience on the LGS release was pretty good, but I wasn't like it wasn't because of any preparation on my part. It was just I have an awesome comic book store that I'm a regular at. With this game,
Give them a shout out.
Snake Eyes Comics in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where I travel and go and pick up my comics every few weeks, and they're great. They know I'm a Disney fan. But as far as this game goes, I didn't know anything about it until you guys were posting stuff on D23 or from your trip to D23. I don't know if it was out there before that or not. But that was the first time I had ever heard of it. And you guys were just like pumped about it. And I was like, okay, trading card game. I've never done one of those, but it looks cool. That Mickey Brave Little Tailor was pretty cool, that card. And so I was a little bit interested, but it was still one of those things where I was like, I'm probably not going to get into this. Then you guys went to GenCon and I was following it because you guys were there. And so I was following everything. And I started to think, this might be something I'm into. It was around that time that my local store, he brought it up to me while I was in there, and he asked if it was something I was interested in. And I told him that I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know if I was going to get into it or not. And he said, if you are, just let me know because I'm going to be able to sell it. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I talked with my kids about it because I always look for something that I can do with my kids that we can play together. We love board games. Funko's Something Wild card game. We love that game. So I asked, and my oldest daughter was really excited about it. And so I called him up and I said, yeah, put me down for, and at that point we knew there were like 3 starters. I said, put me down for 2 starters and 2 boosters. And he asked me which ones I wanted. And so that was pretty much the end of it. I knew when it was coming out and I had planned on going by there. He ended up having an event that he put on the Saturday after the release. So he was calling me, making sure I was going to make it to that. He was doing a lot, trying to get a community built around it. And so on that Friday that the game was released, I got off work at like 6 o'clock. No, it was probably a little after 5. And me and my daughter drove out to where the shop is. And I picked up my comics and he was like, oh, I've got something else for you, being kind of coy about it, playful. Because there were people there who got stuff that they were already talking about it when we walked in. He said, but I didn't remember which ones you wanted. So I got you all 3. He's like, you can pick whichever one you want, or you can go ahead and buy all 3. Now we had planned on getting the 2 starters and just 2 booster packs because we were easing into it. We didn't know if we were going to enjoy this or not. And he didn't get any boosters whatsoever. He's like, I'm not going to do boosters right now. And I thought about it and I was like, well, the price of the boosters of 2 boosters is about the price of a second or a third starter. So I went ahead and told him I'll go ahead and take all 3. And we opened the booster packs from the starters while we were there. My daughter pulled the Rapunzel. Is it a legendary Rapunzel? I'm not sure. She won't let me look at it.
Yeah,
she won't let me near it. But she pulled that one, and I didn't get anything special. But I mean, everything was brand new to me. I hadn't seen much of the game at all, so I was pretty excited about what I had. And then he offered to teach us how to play, and so she went back and sat at a table, and he taught us how to play while she played. And we were excited about it. We took our cards, we went home. Didn't realize what was going on for everybody else. And I think it was on Saturday that I started to realize that the market on these things, the aftermarket, was just exploding already. It was Saturday or Sunday. I believe it was Saturday. And I was like, well, I really want to play this game, but we probably ought to protect them some way. So I started researching. I mean, I'm brand new to this stuff. I had no idea. Like, I'm sure there's something you should put these cards in. He had his cards in something, and that's what flagged it for me. And I found out that I have a ton of game stores in my area. They're everywhere. And one of them is right up the street from me. So I drove down there, and they, of course, had what I was looking for. I got the Dragon Shields that are clear because I wanted to see the Lorcana art on the back, the symbol and everything on the back. I didn't want to cover it up with a blue background or a green background or anything. And I asked him, I was like, do you guys have anything left? And he was like, no, we sold out in an hour. And he didn't say much more about it that day, but we talked a little bit about it and about how he didn't know when he would get more. But those who got it were excited to get it. And I left and we played the game that night and we really enjoyed playing the game. We played multiple games over and over again. And with just our starter decks, my youngest wanted to play. So we gave her one of the starter decks. I'm trying to remember which one she has. I think she has the steel sapphire one. And no, my oldest has the steel sapphire and my youngest has the ruby. What's with ruby? Ruby Emerald. Thank you. So she has that one. And we played a few games. We've been doing best of 3 is basically what we've been doing, and then switching around. And she loved it. She's like 10, she's 11 years old, but she absolutely loved the game. And she was like, okay, so is this pack mine? So the third pack went to her. So now I've got to get 2 more packs because I'm obsessed with it. And, but can't find them anywhere. But that was my experience with the first weekend with the LGS release. And my comic book shop does plan on hosting regular games. We're already signed up for the first one, which is actually at the end of this month. And he's also planning on trying to get us some more stuff whenever it's available. We'll see how that goes. I know that's going to be kind of crazy. I was really kicking myself that I didn't get a trove. I wish I had asked him for a trove. He had one that day, but again, I didn't know if we were going to like it. I didn't know if it was something I was going to collect, and spending an additional $50 on something that I may never touch again just wasn't appealing at that point.
Sure.
Wish I had it now.
You may be able to get one down the line on one of these restocks. We'll let you know when we see them.
Yeah.
But it's seeing everybody else enjoying it and getting new stuff. I went on TCG Player and I was just scouting out the enchanteds constantly on the prices, because at that point they were from GenCon, they were all hovering around $500, $600 plus, and just click and refresh and checking out the prices going up and down, etc. I finally pulled the trigger on a Hades enchanted, just because I wanted one. And I just in my head I was thinking, well, Patrick at GenCon, Patrick bought 2 booster boxes, and I bought 2 booster boxes, and I didn't get it. None of us got an enchanted. So I got it for $100. It's less than buying a booster box of for 143 plus tax and not getting one. So I felt like that, me just guaranteeing that I was going to get one for that price was worth it for me. And I'm disappointed that I didn't buy another 2 that I saw that got around that price point, because now they're all astronomical prices from the worldwide release, which was supposed to go the opposite direction of more stuff out there. The price is going down, but there's more demand now, so prices are up.
Yeah.
So with Mitch, with all the you buy all these cards, right? And you're feeling it. Your family's loving it. And you say your store is starting to host some play sessions and tournaments. Have you gone to anything officially yet in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, so I was really enjoying playing the game and thought I want to find some more product. Where can I find it? And in searching, I came across a chain of stores, not just in my area, but they're in multiple states. There's a chain of stores in my area that were hosting. They called it Lorcana League, and so it's just a friendly game. You play 3 games you play 3 matches with best of 3 wins. But nobody wins anything. Like there's not any prizes for it. It was just to have the opportunity to play. The store that did it, however, it was like $30 and you got a starter pack. So, you know, that's like what, $17, $18 of that 30. If you finish all 3 rounds, whether you win or lose, you got a additional booster pack. And if you were there for the very end, you also got one of the promo cards. So I signed up for that. You had to prepay. Well, you didn't. I found out you didn't have to, but it looked like online you had to prepay. So I prepaid and showed up. They knew who I was when I got there and had everything ready for me. They came through and I really wanted to get the steel and sapphire set. That was the one that I was leaning towards it for my second starter. And they came through and they were doing random pulls. An employee was pulling blindfolded, not really blindfolded, but he wasn't looking, from a box and just handing us our starters. And I, of course, got the one I already had, the amber amethyst. And I was like, oh man, I might keep this to complete my, 4 cards per on this on well, I wouldn't get 4 of everything, but you know what I'm saying. Like I would have a almost a full deck of these at that point. I considered it, but someone was willing to trade with me, and no one was willing to trade that Simba. Everybody wanted the Simba set, but I did find someone who was willing to trade the Ruby Emerald, and so I was able to get that. I did not get anything amazing in it, in the booster, but I got some decent cards. There's one, I believe it's from Hercules. It's like an eye, but it allows you. It really helped because they let us mix our boosters in with our starter. So even though you had 2 of the ink colors, you still got whatever was in your booster in your hand or in your deck while you were playing. So that was cool. Now, the person who I traded with, I've not told you guys this. The person that I traded with opened that amber and amethyst and had an enchanted Simba. Oh, so I was a good sport. I congratulated them and I passed them one of my dragon shields and I said, put that card in, because they didn't have anything. It was their first TCG. And they were really excited about the game coming out and playing. And I was like, here, put that in this right now. And I pulled it up and showed them how much it was going for. And at that time, it was like $300 and something. I was like, that's a $250 to $300 card that you have right there. Congratulations. They also pulled, what was it? They got another booster and had, I don't remember what it was. It was a really great legendary. It wasn't a second enchanted. That would have been nuts. But they pulled a really cool legendary. They were the lucky one there. And I was not bummed because I had a great time. I'd actually forgot about it until I started talking about the experience. I remembered, oh yeah, I've got to tell that story. But yeah, hopefully they're loving the game. I know she said that her boyfriend was interested in playing it with her. He was a Magic the Gathering player, and she was looking forward to that. So, it is what it is.
But you're a good man. You're a good man.
Come on, Mitch. These people from Tennessee, too nice. Too nice.
Yeah. So there was a couple of kids that were there. Their parents had brought them, and they had and one of them got I didn't hear which one, and I didn't because I was kind of bummed about it. I didn't go look. But they did get an enchanted card in that one as well. So there were 2 enchanted cards at that event.
You need to go to more events, man.
Well, but I didn't get any.
I know. Well, you need to trade with something. No,
I need to not trade.
Now
I have all 3 starters, so I would take whatever I got.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was a fun time. I played with, let's see, they randomly matched us up. So the first person I played with was a very experienced MTG player. He had never seen Lorcana whatsoever. The first time he looked at it was opening his pack. I did beat him on the first round or the first game. Pretty good, actually. That second one was incredibly close. And we were almost out of time. As a matter of fact, the clock went off while we were still playing that third deck. And he just barely beat me on that one. So I had a loss. And then so I went into the second one, and it was another MTG player, someone else who was very experienced. She had been playing with her husband. He was there too. They had been playing for years, apparently, and she whooped me all over the place. The last hand, I almost actually she did, but we were one and no, we only went two. That second hand, I did get very close, but I made a mistake. It was one of those moments where I made the mistake and she was able to get the win because I didn't stop her. I would have won had I done the right thing. That's when I learned that this game is that kind of game. You make the wrong move and you lose it. So I was done. I didn't get to play the third round, but I had to stay in order to get my booster and my promo card. And I did get the Hey promo card. So it was cool. I've thought about doing it again. I didn't have the opportunity to do it last weekend because I was getting ready to go out of town. And then I had wanted to do it this weekend, and it just wasn't possible. They are doing it twice. They're doing it twice on Saturday and twice on Sunday. So there's lots of options. I may still do another one. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Man, you could have had a Simba.
Yeah, I purposefully did not tell you guys that at all because I was like, I'm gonna hold it until we do a recording, and they're gonna have to. The response is just, oh man,
it's all right. You'll get one. You'll get one.
We'll see. But I am more into the playing part of the collecting. Like I'm buying now based off of what I want to play with, especially from that experience. Like I played a couple of people who had they played the game a lot differently than me and my daughters had been playing it. So I learned a lot from that experience, and I just enjoy playing. I think you know this. I'm not the I've got to have it all type. I'm the I've got to have the ones I want type. So I definitely think I'll end up getting the full set. I don't know that I have to have everything in foil. And I don't know that the enchanteds are something I would pay for. But if I got one, I would. I already said it. Actually, I told her. I said if there's a sixth one, the person that we traded with, and I said if I got one of them, I wouldn't keep it. I would sell it and buy more of the stuff. And so we had that conversation, and then she opened my enchanted.
Yeah, but wait till there's a Darkwing Duck enchanted, or
I will have to have
Donald Duck enchanted, and
Donald Duck enchanted's got to happen. Scrooge, we got to get some Scrooge in there. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Duck Talks. Yeah,
get some Duck Talks action in there. Yeah, so that was good. And are we up to the worldwide release now?
I think we are.
All right. Well, that was supposed to officially start at 3 a.m. Eastern time, which, to be fair to the people on the West Coast, they only had to stay up till midnight for this release. And that was Shop Disney. It was the first one that really advertised that. That's when they were going live with it. So I didn't know what I needed or what I was going to buy. I wanted to see what was available for sure, and to see for myself the stories of how fast this stuff sold out. So I set my alarm for 2:50, and I woke up just to see the madness. Patrick, you were up at 3, right?
Yeah, no, I was up at 3. I was checking everything that as it was going live. let me put it this way. So I am not personally a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I have Taylor Swift fans in this house. Okay. I helped those Taylor Swift fans get Taylor Swift tickets. Okay. And that's kind of the notoriously hard to get tour that she was on. I was able to nab those tickets. I was not able to nab close to anything on September 1st for Lorcana. It was Taylor Swift's Eras Tour on steroids in terms of crashing websites and mysterious emptying shopping carts. It was, I did a lot of refreshing and not a lot to show for it, quite frankly.
Now, didn't you ordered some stuff and paid for it, but you don't know if you got it, right? Wasn't that part of your experience?
Yeah, and at the time of this recording, that mystery is still in the ether. So the Ravensburger website, which much later in the day on September 1st, that Friday, posted things that were available on their site. And it was, the starter decks and the gift set. And there was just kind of this, I mean, they were getting slammed with all sorts of orders. And
it was slow, very slow.
Right. And I was able to get to the part where it's like, it's in my basket. I'm making it to checkout, which, on any of these sites, Target, Best Buy, Shop Disney, getting that far was a feat in and of itself. But I put in my credit card info, my shipping info. It was all there. And I hit, confirm order. And then I got the weird error website message. And, my bank statement says that it worked, but I have no confirmation from them. They, of course, within minutes of that said, hey, our site has been absolutely destroyed by the demand for this. Some orders are going to get canceled. Some orders might have come through. We are going to sort them out and let you know. They pause. And as of the time of this recording, they are still not accepting order. They're trying to sort everything out from what happened. And again, keep in mind too, this is a Labor Day weekend. So I get that there's, that going for us. But maybe in retrospect, doing a wide release going into a holiday weekend, maybe not the best call, but we're still in this household trying to figure out, will I get cards or will I get my money back? I'm good with either. I prefer the cards. I like the money, but as long as I get one of them, I'll be happy. So
yeah,
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, so Shop Disney went extremely fast. When I checked it at 3, when everything went live, I was very tired. But the playmats seemed to sell out immediately, and I don't know why the playmats are the hardest accessory to get in this thing, but yeah, they were gone. Both all Maleficent and Maui and Steamboat Willie gone. Starter decks were still there at 3, and still I think probably up. I don't know. I think at 315 when I bounced over to Target, it was they might have still had starter decks, but Target ended up being the GOAT for me for this release because I was able to. I bought a portfolio, Evil Queen portfolio, to keep the Hades and the Mulan jumbo cards in. And also the puzzle piece cards that I'm sure they're going to keep doing for all the different chapters. So I got those 2 at Target at 3:15 or whatever clock it was in the morning. And then Best Buy, I think stuff like portfolios might have went live, but I didn't think I saw too much other stuff from Best Buy. Nothing from GameStop. But later in the day for Target, I was able to nab the because they eventually restocked with starter decks and then Trove. Luckily, I signed up for an alert email or text or whatever when it came back in stock, and I was able to nab a Trove So I was able to get everything I wanted for that day. I don't know how productive work was officially for September 1st. But we'll just say I put in my hours for both work and Lorcana that day.
You know, as I was trying to get things in my cart, especially, I mean, okay, so let me back up. There was, I went day of early morning to my local Target, actually to go in person and try to shop because I didn't want to deal with, I knew the internet stuff was going to be tough. And we kind of learned, and I know you guys can attest to this too, that these stores, like a Target, the sections that house these cards are not always stocked by Target employees themselves. They're stocked by a different vendor, and it's of no use to ask the Target employee where the Lorcana cards are, and so that was a wipe. In person for me was there was nothing. No one knew what they were. So I had to go back and go, I think it's online. And I kept running into this problem where, you know, a wave of stuff would be available on like Target.com or Best Buy. And you put it in your cart and you'd hit that threshold for free shipping and it felt good. And then they're like, oh, this thing's gone mysteriously out of your cart. And it's like, and now it's going to be $7 to ship it. It's like, ah, oh, great. And then, of course, everything vanished from the cart. But I kept getting these situations where it's like I could maybe get the portfolio and I had a starter deck, and then one of them vanished, and then the free shipping with it vanished. And yeah, it was one of those where it's like these individual shipping things were going to just be killer after a while. But it's the joy of online shopping, I guess.
I had no idea what to expect with this. Like I said, I did not experience what everybody else experienced with the local game store. It was, you know, after that when I was like, oh, maybe we want some more of this, that I realized that's not going to happen. On the day, so I started following online various accounts and stuff, and started trying to keep up with, okay, what's this release going to look like? I was pretty confident that a retail release was going to mean that I was going to get product very easily. I thought that for sure I'd be able to go to the Walmart that's very close to my house and walk in and pick up a few packs of cards. And then maybe go somewhere else and get some more. You know, there were so many options available where this is going to be, and it was going to be on Amazon. So, you know, I didn't think that it would be hard to get any product. I did see where Walmart started putting them out early. Apparently on the Thursday before, if vendors were there, they were like, that's close enough to release, and they just put them out. I did see that Wednesday apparently was too far away. So if your vendor came on Wednesday, you may not get product until the next Wednesday. So I went and checked to see if we happened to have it. It was my very first time going through that section of the store. I didn't even know where it was. It's against at my store. It's against one of the registers. Like, it is. Like, if people are in line for that register, you can't get down the aisle to look at these products. So I had to wait in line and just kind of lean down and look, because it's all on the floor. It's not high at all. And so I go down through there looking for stuff, and I see nothing. I'm like, okay, so it's not out yet. On Friday, I got up, got everybody out of the house, jumped in the car, and drove down there thinking, I'll walk in and get it. You know, they've not been open long. It's not a 24-hour Walmart. They've not been open long. I'll walk in and I'll get some. Nothing, still nothing. I didn't have to wait in line to check, but there was nothing there. I did ask them if they could check. They knew nothing about what I was talking about, and they did a search, and there was nothing in their system for this game that I was talking about. I pulled up online a booster pack image that included the barcode, and I zoomed in. I was like, hey, if you scan this, will it tell you if it's a product you carry? And she was pretty confident it would. So we scanned it and it came up and it said that they had 0 units. And that was when she informed me of the vendors and that they don't keep stock, the vendor keeps stock. So they wouldn't know how many they have. So I left without anything, and I went back later in the day to see if it happened to be out by, you know, the end of my shift at work. I think I might have went out at, oh, I did. I went out at lunch. I took off the garbage, and on my way back, I stopped in Walmart and I walked over there and I looked, and there was nothing there. And then when I got off work, I went back and it's still nothing there. Throughout the day, I did try to order some stuff online. We, you know, some stuff did hit Amazon, but nothing that I thought I needed. Before that happened, I guess I was able to get the steel sapphire starter deck that I needed on Target.com. I was able to do that. I had a gift card that I was still sitting on, so it cost me nothing to get it, even though I did have to pay shipping for it since I just bought the one item.
It's so I did not see any of this coming because I thought September 1st, everything was going to be well stocked. I thought that, you know, the last time we've seen a mad scramble to get cards was like 2020. Everyone wanted Pokemon cards, and you know, that during the pandemic and the shutdown, and there were so many supply chain issues. Like that felt like an outlier, right? This isn't like people trying to fight and get a PS5. You know, we're not making microchips here. We're printing cardboard cards. So I had built up in my mind all these reasons why every store is going to have, you know, all the stock I want, right? And I think obviously this game is going to be a force to be reckoned with, as we've all learned.
Yeah. After I went, so I promised my girls that I'd take them to the high school football game for Friday, but we left early enough to swing by Barnes and Noble because I knew they were supposed to have it. They knew immediately what I was asking about, and they very quickly answered they didn't have any, and that I could watch social media for when they get them. They will be sure to post them. I was like, okay, all right, well, at least I get a heads up. And so that was it for Friday. On Saturday, we went to Pigeon Forge, and we stopped at several places, and nothing anywhere. Not any signs whatsoever. But I got back home, got back in the area late Saturday, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to Walmart. I'm just going to call it a day. Sunday, I go by Walmart. It's about noon-ish, probably 1 o'clock or so. And I'm walking around thinking, you know, there's not going to be anything there. And I see the back of the display. It's on the very top shelf of that section that's only like, you know, chest level, but it's on the very top shelf. I can see Cruella. I'm like, oh, I've made it. So I get over there and there's a line for that register. So I have to wait in line at the register to get down the aisle. But before I even get there, I can tell there's not much in this display, if anything, but I can't tell yet because the way it was positioned, I can't see the back of it. So I don't know, is there a starter in there? Are there any booster packs left? I can't tell. And so the very last person who had a group with them, so of course, you know, the very last person in front of me had a group of people. So until that one person paid, I couldn't step forward anymore. I got up there and it's completely empty. I either missed it Friday night or Saturday. Defeated. And later that day, I realized I've not received any notifications on Instagram. So I open up Instagram to Barnes and Noble, and what do you know? They'd been posting all day that they had it. So It's a pretty good drive for me. I called first, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've got a ton of it. Let me run up front and I'll check." So that's very positive, right? And she comes back on with, "Oh, I'm sorry, we have sold out." So there was some product in my area. What I heard from local game stores, there was our Target didn't receive anything, and every time I looked at Target, it said not sold in stores. And Best Buy showed none in the area. From what I understand, with people that tried to get the product at Best Buy might have sold everything online and had nothing in stores. I don't know that I've heard of anybody getting anything from a Best Buy store in person. And Walmart's did start putting them out over the weekend. I'm really curious if they're going to continue to put product out, if this was a one-time thing, or if maybe once a week there'll be more. I know now to check Friday evening and Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. I've narrowed it down a little bit.
Well, one thing that I guess we should mention, as we, if you made it this far in the video or the podcast, you know that you've heard the horror stories, but before the September 1st retail release, they did put out 2 social media posts kind of outlining that they're doing what they can to put stock in. There's going to be a reprint of the first chapter here, that, you know, obviously they are doing what they can to make sure that supply catches up to demand. So, you know, if you haven't seen any of this in the wild, if you haven't got your hands on any cards yet, I think the name of the game here is just patience. It's going to show up eventually. It's just kind of riding out this initial chaotic storm. There is that thrill of the hunt, but if that's not your style, it just be patient.
Yeah. And look for those events, because the that one store, and it is a chain that's doing these events, they held back product to be able to have for events. So, I mean, there are some stores out there that might have a league or something going on and you can get it. Now, the one thing I didn't like about what they did at that store was that afterwards they did allow people to buy product, but it was all marked up. And I'm just not going to pay above MSRP. I can wait. I will wait. Walmart, though, if people don't know this, Walmart, their starters are $19.99 instead of the $16.99. I think the booster packs are still $6.99, but their starters are $3 more for whatever reason. I guess they got to pay for the vendor somehow. But yeah, I did go back to one of the local game stores because I needed some more dragon shields for when my starter pack comes in this week. And I ended up catching somebody who was willing to talk about it a little bit more. He gave me a lot of information about their experience with the release. They did not get anywhere near the product they had ordered. They didn't even have enough to meet all of their pre-orders, and they had nothing for walk-ins or to put anything together for these leagues or anything like that. So they were hoping that the game would do well. They think the game's going to do well, but they felt like the start was really hard on getting a community started. It looks like the chain store was the only one that got enough product to be able to do something like the Lorcana League. But they were confident that they would get more product and that things would be okay. And that, like you said, we just need to be patient, wait it out. We'll get there. The game's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of collectability. Right now, the secondary market on Pirate was the one that introduced me to TCG Player. Isn't that what it's called? Trading card, yeah. TCGplayer.com, and you can get a lot of the commons and the uncommons. There's people that are posting on eBay full sets of commons so that you can get cards so that you can play. There's ways to get into it right now. Unfortunately, there's a lot of scalpers out there that are just buying a bunch of it and putting it on eBay. I saw earlier today a box for like 300 and something for the boosters, and the person said, I've got like 200 of these. So I mean that's why we can't find any. But this will pass within time, I'm sure. And by chapter 4 or 5, we'll talk about how the start was all rocky, but we're all playing. I did talk with that store also about doing something for people who did have cards, and they were more than willing for me to book time to have people, to host games at their store for free, no charge. So that's something I'm looking at. I did get involved in a local Facebook group for the game, and I threw it out there that I'd be willing to coordinate that if people wanted to play. And I've already had some people say they were interested, so I'm sure it's something we'll do.
That's very cool of you. Yeah.
I just want to play.
Yeah. There's full disclosure, as we've been having our conversation here, I've been doing all weekend, updating Amazon to see the Ravensburger page. For pretty much the last 3 days of my life, I don't know who this reseller is, but they are charging $100 for this gift set, and it is infuriating.
Yeah.
But
I hope nobody buys that.
I hope so, neither. I hope I didn't accidentally hit buy when I just turned off my phone. But
wouldn't that be
totally did?
Yeah. But no, to your point, like TCG Player, there are sites where you can get some of these commons, uncommons for very reasonable prices. There are, I mean, even some up to the rares. Some of the things that aren't, as the game is developing, and there's cards that people are just stocking their deck with. There's going to be cards that are, astronomical prices. Like the giant Tinkerbell or the Rapunzel that your daughter pulled, or just don't touch it. Don't touch those prices. But there's some great. You can build a quality, fun deck with some of those commons, uncommons for really reasonable prices. I was messing around with it, and with the exception of maybe one or two cards, you can kind of recreate a lot of these starter decks just buying the cards individually on these sites. As of the time of this recording, for what is comparable to what the starter deck prices are, I would say. So if that's an avenue you want to take, go for it. I bought some individual cards. I want to. It's not. I don't think anyone's raving about it being the most dominating strategy out there right now, but I really want to build a Three Musketeers deck, right? So I made sure I used the TCG Player I bought. Made sure I had 4 copies of Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and the Musketeer item as well. So I'm gonna figure out something to do with that. I'm not sure, but I wanted to make sure I had those core cards so I could kind of build something around it. So yeah,
those cards have a cool synergy about them. So I plan on doing something like that as well. I haven't started deck building because that's completely new and foreign to me, which the starters have been really good to learn how to play the game in different ways. And I'm looking forward to, which we have one in the house and I could play with it, but I'm looking forward to that steel sapphire. I don't know why I can't ever remember sapphire. I'm like steel blue sapphire. The steel sapphire starter deck, because from what I understand, you've got a lot of powerful cards and then a lot of not a lot of actions, but a lot of ways to kind of slow down your opponent. And so you're trying to build quicker than they can. And that's a strategy that I pretty much already play. And I think that's going to end up being a lot of my gameplay.
Now, Patrick, are you going to add Queen Minnie to that Three Musketeers?
Yeah,
Oh.
I have 4 of Queen Minnie. She's, I guess, a common. This is tough. This is there's 2 sides of me on this one, right? I feel, mechanically speaking, there are better cards to have in that deck than Queen Minnie. But thematically, how do you not have Queen Minnie?
Yeah.
And I think
and you need ink cards.
This is, yeah, that's true. I think that's going to be my downfall in this game. Is I'm gonna stick thematically to something, and overlook some key strategies because I want to be as on point with my movies and themes as possible. So who knows?
Yeah.
At least they put them all, I mean, in 2 different ink colors, so you can actually do that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
November 17th is I don't know what they're going to call the next one. The next set will be released to local game stores. The same 2 weeks exclusivity of the product will be at the local game shop. So we'll see how, if anything changes in their strategies, or if it's still just name your price. But yeah, that's key Christmas shopping window. So I know everybody that's hyped about the game now. Hopefully the hype stays. The only thing I'm worried about is for the people that didn't get anything and that are just like, all right, I'm done. Because I feel like once those people are done, they're gone.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's a Disney Lorcana Christmas. But we did see rumors that I believe were confirmed on some product that will be, or some themes for the next series. How many cards do you think will be in a second set? We got 204 in this first one. I'm almost hoping it's cut in half to like 102.
What do other card games do? Like, what is Pokemon like? Typically 100 cards.
Pokemon could be up and down on how many they have. They have big sets and little sets.
Okay. I say they go smaller on chapter 2, whatever they call it. I think cutting it in half would be a good idea, and allow people to catch up. Hopefully that second run of chapter 1 fills the void for a lot of us to be able to build up on that. I really hate the idea of chapter 1 getting away and not being able to get all the cards that I want.
I think we'll probably get less than, I really hope. Maybe this is just wishful thinking. It's just so many cards to have to keep track of. But I'm really hoping it's less than 200. I'm gonna say like 150. I don't think it'll be. I feel like half feels like an extreme. I don't know. Yeah, I'll say about 150 is my guess. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, that you're probably onto something there, because one of the things that also leaked was that that chapter would have 2 starter decks. So that's 120 cards. And then there's going to be some that they're not going to put in the starter deck so that you're buying boosters. So 150 is probably a pretty good estimation. I'm going
Part of me
160.
wonders. Ooh, nice. It's like it's the Price is Right strategy where you just go 1 cent over. But no, I'm wondering with some of these starter decks too, because we're saying 2 new starter decks, right? Who's to say that those starter decks will be exclusively chapter 2 cards? I could see it being some hybrid of new chapter 2 cards mixed with some first chapter things as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I mean 2 starter decks as well. That's only that's 4 inks. So 2 of the inks are going to be left out.
Yeah.
If the rules stay the same.
Right. Because the starter deck should be, you can play the game right out of the box. So it should be 2 inks. Unless they change the rules of the game and start making it to where you can mix them, which would take a lot of the strategy out of it, I feel. So I don't think they'll do that. Surely not. But they're also, because all of this comes from, what was it? An Italian store that was able to...
French.
French.
Yeah.
Okay. They posted some information on what they were getting, and that makes sense too because Ravensburger's Germany, so it would make sense for Europe to know before we would, because the stores that I've spoken with haven't received anything to indicate what Chapter 2 will be like. But they also said that there's going to be like, there's not a trove or a gift set, but there's, I don't remember what they called it, but you get both of the starter decks and something else.
A booster box.
Is it a booster box? Oh, so it's a full box and the starter decks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be pricey.
So yeah, it's gonna be pricey, but if you can guarantee yourself that and this is your thing, then that would be the way to go. Yeah. And I'm sure there's going to be more gift sets. I don't know if maybe even in Chapter 1 or but definitely in Chapter 2, because we bought the portfolio and it has the 8 slots for jumbo cards and we only got 2. Mm. So, and that's something Pokemon does all the time. Like every month or even maybe more than monthly, they come out with, I'll go to Target with my kids and they'll make me buy whatever the latest box that has a jumbo Pokemon card and a promo shiny card. And I could see Lorcana, if they can get their supply issues going and fixed, like they could do monthly promos at stores like that.
Yeah.
But we do know some of the themes and some of the movies that is going to be in this one, because the playmats, so instead of 3 that we got in Chapter 1, this next set will have 2, and one will be Winnie the Pooh themed and the other will be Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
I am really, really hoping that Winnie the Pooh is some just insane Dreamborn version. I don't know what, but I'd like to see some wild take on Winnie the Pooh. I think that'd make a killer playmat.
I think you should get that one.
Yeah. I'd just be happy getting any of the playmats at this point, honestly.
You know, that was something that was crazy to me, because when I went to play at the Lorcana League, I was really surprised by all the experienced people coming in and folding out mats. I was like, okay, so I know they were selling mats. I didn't realize, it was that big of a thing. The store, because I went up at that store, I went up to them and asked, do you have any mats for sale? And they were like, for Lorcana, no. I was like, no, just mats in general. And they were like, oh, no, we don't. And every store I've been to except one hasn't had any mats. And it's like, why don't they sell mats if everyone has a mat?
Can I ask a really stupid question to the group right now? And I say this as someone who really wants a Disney Lorcana playmat. What is the purpose of the playmat?
Well,
the only thing that I have seen that made sense was if your opponent spills something, your cards aren't on the table.
It has a nice surface so that your cards can glide on it. That's it's
not a hard surface, so it's probably easier to pick
you bring your personality out there when you're playing in your tournaments, etc. I want one specifically because all the people that are doing the cool unboxing videos or etc. have their nice playmat on there as they're flipping their cards over. But yeah, I don't think there's a Winnie the Pooh or Beast one in my future.
Okay.
No, I had a custom one made.
Yeah, those answers were what I was kind of thinking it would be. I was wondering if there's some unforeseen thing. I was wondering where it's like, oh, your elbows get sore and you need something to rest them on, or it helps with arthritis. I don't know.
Maybe.
And
the other thing we got was so deck boxes and sleeves, of which we didn't buy. I don't think either of us, like any of us, got those accessories. One because
I had opportunities. I didn't want them.
Yeah, they were sold out whenever I looked at them. But there's going to be a Mulan one. So Mulan is making a comeback for a second set, and Sisu, who was in Raya, one of the more recent Disney animated classics. So we're going to get those movies as well in the second set.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty recent in terms of Raya, because I'm wondering like how, when you're looking at the cards they're putting out, in chapter 1, I'm trying to think who's the most
Moana.
I guess Moana would be, right?
Yeah,
so,
and that was like 2016 or something like that, right? So
yeah,
I think Raya was 2021.
So that, I mean, if there was, I mean, in my mind, I was like, is there any limitation on, is this too soon, quote unquote, for a character? When you throw Raya in the mix, I mean, that's fair game now for Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah. Big Hero 6. I don't know.
I mean, what would be really cool is if they can kind of do the Disney Infinity formula where, hey, you're going to go see that movie Disney Wish. AMC is giving away this card that you can put in your deck for Lorcana. That's what I want. I want them to do that.
That would be cool. I do wonder, and I was wondering if that was part of their strategy of like making sure everything in here is from a movie that's, gone through the test of time. Because that was, being on Infinity, it's great to have that kind of current synergy. But then playing it now, it's like you have your classic characters, and then you have your characters that have aged like a fine milk, right? You live action Alice, your Lone Ranger and Johnny Depp Tonto characters. I'm wondering what version of if we'll see anything like that in Lorcana, where it's like, ooh, that didn't. No one remembers that. I mean, we already got Treasure Planet, so who knows? But no offense to Treasure Planet lovers, but
no, you're thinking Home on the Range.
Yes.
Oh, I always forget that's a Disney movie.
Like, wait till you get the Chicken Little Legendary. I mean,
yeah,
Ugly Duckling.
Yeah. Well, I thought one thing that I thought was cool was there is a Tigger card in chapter 1, but that was it. And so now it looks like there's a really good possibility, or maybe it's confirmed that Winnie the Pooh will be part of chapter 2. We also had some Mulan. Was there 2 Mulan cards? We had the one that came with the gift set, and then there's the Reflections card that's part of Amethyst. So not a lot, but it sounds like there's probably more coming. So I'm wondering how much of what's coming in the future is they're going to tease in the previous chapter.
Yeah, and we know Ravensburger loves villains, so like the Mulan villain would be cool. Shan Yu, some Mushu action as well.
Yeah,
that cricket's going to be in there.
Yeah. It's gonna be common for sure.
Yeah, a one ink card.
Cricket. Yeah, it's you definitely have the groundwork of revisiting all the movies from chapter 1, and you look at kind of how even within any given movie how they distributed kind of the cards, like the Frozen cards. Like, of course, you have a handful of Elsas because it's Elsa. But then it's like Anna got 1, Olaf got 1, Hans got 2. Like, they're holding back on only about like 3 more Olafs, 4 more Annas. They're coming. But yeah, there's a couple people who got mentioned once or twice in chapter 1 who I think we'll definitely see again in chapter 2.
Yeah,
they got other Mulan songs, like they could do an "I'll Make a Man Out of You" song card.
I can't wait for the Goofy movie song cards to come out.
That power line one's gonna be enchanted, and you have to buy it.
They'll have to put it in a gift set or something so we can just get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when Disney Afternoon gets introduced into Lorcana, then man, we're not going to be able to get it. It's going to be something crazy to happen, kind of like right now where we can't get the product. But it's going to be even worse then.
I don't know. I hope it gets better. But I, this past weekend, I was like, why have I gotten into this? Why is this something that I even care about? Because it's just breaking my heart right now.
There'll be more drops and everything. It's just a crazy time right now.
Yep.
Again, I was expecting to be able to buy more singles and get whatever I want when September 1st came around, but it's quite the opposite situation. So we'll see how it goes there. I think this was a good show. Thank you, Mitch, for coming on and tell us about your experience.
Yeah, thanks for having me
with the game. I love that you're a player and that you'll be able to bring that point of view, because you're going to be hitting the Tennessee market, I'm sure, and tearing it up. And I love that your two girls are playing in a game as well. I think that's awesome. You want to plug anything or tell us where the people can find you on the internet?
Well, you can always check out ducktalks.com. I know I've got a review coming up soon that I've got to do. Pirate does a lot of the lifting nowadays, but we do have some stuff planned and coming, and we probably ought to do one of those podcasts sometime in the near future. Other than that, I'm on Twitter or X or whatever we call it, as Infinirama616. So you can always follow me there. I have started to get a little more active on Twitter recently with Lorcana and following things. So check that out. And then if you are in the East Tennessee area and playing the game, there's a current group on Facebook called Tennessee Lorcana Players. And I've jumped in there, and that's where I'm talking with people about trying to get some games together. So if you're interested in playing, check that out and look for the posts on there that I have about trying to get some games together.
Very cool. I hope you grow that community. So it's the biggest community ever in Tennessee. Patrick, do you have anything you want to plug?
No. Just follow us on LorcanaTalks on I'm not going to call it X. It's going to be Twitter. Follow it on Twitter.
Very good. Well, thanks everybody who's watching us. We really appreciate your viewership. Like Patrick said, go ahead and follow us on at LorcanaTalks so we can let you know the latest episodes we might have of this show. Also, we're pretty funny on there with our jokes and our memes, so we got
it's
that
true.
Going. We got a strong joke game, and as Mitch mentioned, we're powered by at Duck Talks, so all your Disney and Duck needs will be on that account as well. So thanks again for watching us, and we'll catch you next time.